and children.
Oh, yes.
Justice for Yogi.
Justice, yes. Say it loud, say it clearly.
Because he will be going live.
Yes.
Got to put a see you face to face, John.
Huh? Yeah, good morning. We're outside the St. Vincent High Commission.
Yes, Charles.
And we gathered here now, just starting our protest. You can see we have a crowd gathering here, and let's just give you a view of the placards and really what they're saying.
We are protesting the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines from high school. I said our women and children are being raped every day.
Yes, I'm coming live from the ticket line.
Shirley, hi Shirley. I think I see you here all the time.
Okay, I'm coming now. I'm dialing now. Okay.
Hi Carla. Hi, so many people. Your face looks familiar.
Do I?
Yeah, you look like Will I Am. Yeah, treat right? Yeah.
I think it's a bear.
He looks like Will I Am.
Who's this?
Who's that?
Yes, people, so we are gathered outside the St. Vincent High Commission, and as promised, we're here. People are just gathering, and we're here to protest the disenfranchised women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the oppression.
Okay, good morning to you, Justin. How are you? We are live on the picket line.
Yes,
in
and we're having
right now.
a view from the outside.
Everybody from
being
London
aired live
says hi. Let
at
me hear
the
you say hi
moment.
to Justin. There you go, Justin. So that's it. So we're having a view with a difference.
So today we're having a view from the outside live,
A big hi in return
from outside
Justin,
Kensington. And
yes, so good morning to you.
the person in the picture here is Breton Horne, and so if you tune into Nice Radio at the present, you should be able to get him live. A view from the outside, live from the picket line here in Kensington.
Yes, well, we're having a beautiful sunny day, but it's a bit cold.
So let's
It's
just
about,
tune in and hear what he has
3
to say.
degrees Celsius. I believe it's about 37 degrees Fahrenheit. I didn't get a chance to check the conversion, but there you go. But we are happy. We are on the protest line. There are quite a few of us gathered here already, and we're in front of the High Commissioner's office, 10 Kensington Court. People have their placards, and we're all here. And so this is a view with a difference, just to let St. Vincent and the Grenadines know that London is standing up against injustice in St. Vincent. Are we? Are we?
Yes.
There you go. We're standing up against injustice. I'll just let you speak to a few different people. As I said, it's a view with a difference, so here we go. Carla, you want to say something?
Yeah, certainly.
Let's Carla Duggan Backus.
Good morning. Yes, good morning, Justin, and to the entire nation, hello, and to the diaspora as well. We are here in London. Quite a number of people have turned out in solidarity with Yogi and the women in St. Vincent. We have had enough of abuse of women. We have had enough of corruption. We've had enough of nepotism and the abuse of human rights. So,
And we're stopping dynasty too.
and we're stopping dynasties, and there are cabs going by, people looking, people asking questions. We have our placards out. We are freezing, but we don't care.
We don't care.
We decided to brave the cold because it was an important issue, and it's time that people in St. Vincent stand up and say enough is enough. Everybody, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. That was Carla Duggan Backus there. And we have a few more people. We have Guvar Leacock, who contributes to the view from the outside. So you might want to hear from him. Hold on a second.
Good morning, Justin. Good morning, St. Vincent. Yes, London is out.
And don't forget, people, to share the live. Share the live so as much people as possible see.
can't allow it to take root. You cannot have a situation where the Prime Minister's son is the Minister of Finance and his wife, who is the Prime Minister's daughter-in-law, is the head of the Financial Services Authority. So who regulates who?
Absolutely.
Is the wife regulating the son?
Absolutely.
Is the wife regulating the husband? Is the husband regulating the wife? Time's up. You can't have that anymore. You know, stop all of the abuses, stop injustice, get our country back, get Vincentians back together. Time's up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Guevara. Are you still with us, Justin? You're here, right. This is about women. Let me get another woman in. We have somebody here from the Netherlands. Come all the way from the Netherlands with her partner, husband, Mark. But she's Dion Thomas. Dion, say hello to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Hello, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Hello to all the women in St. Vincent. I'm here for you, those without a voice. We are here to represent you. We are asking you to speak up. Those of you who have been sexually abused, assaulted, raped, we're asking you to speak up. Do not be afraid anymore. Speak up. We are here for you because I was in that position that day I walked into Ralph's office. I'm asking you to come out and speak up. Tell the truth. We believe you. We stand with you. We want justice for our women. We want justice for all. This is our human rights and we stand firm here today. This is personal. This is not political. This is human rights.
Thank you. Thank you. There you go, Justin. You heard it from
that's one of the ladies on the front line here.
I can't let you not say something.
And as you know, one of our slogans here today is women rights, human rights. And let's go back to one of the other females.
You know what? We are all on the picket line. It's a cold morning, but we came out here because we've got a message. Accountability is key, and we cannot remain silent just so that a few can be comfortable. Enough is enough, no more. Save our girls, save your daughters, save your brothers, your sisters. Come on, St. Vincent, we can do this. Time is up. Thank you.
Yes, time is definitely up, Justin, and that is the message here on the picket line in London, Kensington Court. I got Andrew Simmons. Andrew, say a quick hello.
Hello, Justin. Hello, St. Vincent and Grenadines. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm here. It's cold, extremely cold, but I'm here because I'm concerned with the challenges, with the issues in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm really concerned with the high unemployment, especially among youth, which is about 46%. You know, I'm also here concerned that there would be no dynasty in St. Vincent.
Absolutely, no whatsoever. We're not going to have
dynasty. So all the best, Justin.
Justin, there you go. Listen, I know we don't have much more time left, but I just want to let you know that we have people from different nationalities who are here with us today. And we have a very dear sister from Jamaica, well, her parents are Jamaicans, but she has decided to come to support us. Tell me your name and
Hello, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is Nicole, and I'm a Jamaican, and I just want you to all know that we're all with you. It doesn't matter if you're ULP, it doesn't matter if you're NDP, it doesn't matter if you're from St. Vincent, it doesn't matter where you're from. This is about human rights, this is about the rights of women, and all over the world we are with you.
Dennis.
Thank you.
There you go, Justin. Do we have any time left?
Yes, we now have even more people getting here. We see the crowd is growing. We have members from Oxford, as far as Oxford coming here.
Yes, just keep going.
Yeah, my name's Dennis Daniel. We're here. Well, my view is that it has to be done. There's obviously a serious breakdown in the civic society within St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we here in the diaspora have to be seen to be doing our part, and that is exactly what we're doing. We're here to let the government know that we're not afraid of them, we're not scared of them in any way, that nepotism doesn't have a place in our society. You cannot have a government running the way that it is. It's unfair, it's improper, it's undemocratic for a prime minister to have his son as the Minister of Finance and his daughter-in-law as the head of the FSA. It is not right. Nowhere else in the world would that happen. And it's sickening, and it's time enough for Vincentians to get up and stand for their rights. We're going to do what we need to do from the UK end.
Yes, and that is a view from the outside, live here from Kensington, number 10 in front of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Embassy.
From the outside was different this morning, and what we are saying in London is that we are creating the energy for the rest of the world because we're 5 hours ahead, 4 hours ahead in some cases. So we are sending the positive energy to the rest of the world. Let's
us together. Women's rights.
Enough.
Women's rights is human rights.
Enough is enough. Time's up.
Enough is enough.
Time's up.
Time up. You have to go. You're not taking your Women's rights.
Human rights.
Women's rights. Human rights. Women's rights.
Human rights. Women's rights. Human rights.
Yes, we have braved the cold this morning, and we have people from Oxford, from all parts of the UK, as far as the Netherlands. And we are out here to speak out against injustice in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Speak out about nepotism. Speak out about a broken justice system, corruption, lack of accountability, and all the issues that are affecting women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We cannot have a prime minister that cannot even go to any of our neighboring islands and present a speech without people protesting the grotesque behavior of our prime minister. So
he's not our prime minister. Dr. Gonzalez, if you want to address him, he's not our prime
exactly.
minister. The mere fact that the last election is being questioned, he is not our prime minister.
He cannot be our prime minister when he does not have the moral, no legal right, authority to speak for even one of his own members of parliament. So saying that he does not have the moral or legal authority to lead us as Vincentians, and for that he must go.
What's pathetic is that the Prime Minister cannot even give a speech at a regional institution.
No, we're international now. At this point, international embarrassment.
That's what's pathetic.
When our human rights are being infringed upon to the point where we cannot even bring a vote of no confidence against the government, that is dictatorship in practice, and that sort of thing cannot continue in our small island, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go through the crowd and have people say there a little bit as to why they're protesting here. Now, Leak Up, what's your reason for being here on the front line today?
No dynasty. We cannot have the wife of the Minister of Finance regulating him. That's not right. Time's up. Time for them to go.
And that is Mr. Leacock's reason for being here on the front line. So I'll just pass, and people will say their reason. Sis, what's your reason for being out here?
My reason is that I'm in support of Yogi Farrell, who has been treated unfairly, sent to a men's institution for something minor. I've heard worse words said and nothing has been done. So there must be a reason why they're doing this to this girl in particular. And, you know, I'm from England, I was born in England, but I support Yogi Farrell.
Yes, fellow Vincentians, we have people braving the cold. It is very cold out here, but yes, we are standing up for justice, we're standing up for human rights, women's rights in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are calling on all Vincentians regarding of political persuasion. This is about women's rights, this is about democracy. This is about bringing an end to dynasty and nepotism. We need more accountability. What we need is transparency with our government.
Money, accountability. Where is the money for
right.
So, Dennis, tell us why you're on the front line today.
For all types of reasons. Basically, we just want to see democracy reign. St. Vincent is not running in a democratic state at the moment. There are people like Dr. Gonzalez who want others to believe that it's running as a democracy. It is not. It is not, because people cannot... Listen, Dr. Gonzalez, you want us to tell you thank you for something. Thank you for the airport, but I still cannot get a direct flight from the UK. I still have to go through Barbados. But I'm going to tell you thank you for the airport, although E.T. Joshua was functioning just fine. What we want is free and fair elections. We want proper health care. We want decent roads. We want proper education. You know, we need to start coming first in other things, not just the rape statistics, not just the sexual assaults, not just the exploitation. We do not want to be coming first in them. St. Vincent has never, ever, ever been known as that sort of society. So, we need our independence.
So, Mr. Daniel.
Yes.
Now, we had a situation where we had a 6-year-old being raped.
Yes.
We had an 11-year-old pregnant.
Yes.
We have so many different things, and yet
yes.
the religious community has been silent. Now we hear the religious community speaking out against medicinal marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that issue?
My take is the religious community, the Christian Council have been compromised. That is the long and short of it. And we've been hearing these two words being bandied about a lot, about moral and legal authority. Sabato, you're trending out here, eh? Moral and legal authority. The Christian Council do not have the moral or the legal authority to talk on the behalf of anyone in St. Vincent, especially when they're being selective. We do not deal with selectivity. If you want to be inclusive, be inclusive. Don't just come out and speak on one issue because you figure that may have you in the good books of Dr. Gonsalves. That is not the way it works. You're supposed to be a Christian organization. Come out and represent your people. How could you tell me that it is right for a 6-year-old child to be sexually assaulted, for an 12-year-old child to have been sexually assaulted, raped at school even, at school, and the Ministry of Education, and by extension, the Minister of Education, Jimmy Prince, has been silent on this matter for far too long. It is unacceptable. You need to come out. You need to say something. Where are the parents? What are they doing? If you're not doing anything, if Jimmy Prince, if you don't want to say anything as the Minister of Education, resign your post. Resign your post. The reason why you're scared to resign your post is quite simply because that gravy train is not going to be stopping at your station.
Okay, thank you. We'll get back to you later. Anybody else wants to say anything? Oh, let's tune in over here to Carla.
As far as I'm concerned, there was no witnesses to allegations in court.
Yes.
I didn't see any witnesses to allegations in court.
Well, not only that, but they didn't tell her lawyer. Her lawyer didn't know what it was that they thought deserved her being sent to a mental institution.
Why have they adjourned
went through the back door
until December?
That's not
Such
allowed.
a minor act till December.
That's another thing. The justice system, it is not right. You cannot have a simple summary matter lasting for a whole year. You know, and even the way in which she was brought to court, you see people like Frank De Silva being accused of the very same thing. He has not been brought to court. He probably will never be brought to court. And so this is the thing, equality before the law. Equality. He is not that sacrilegious in himself. We're not having a piece of power. It's blasphemous.
That's blasphemous.
But he clearly doesn't care. It's for us, the people, to say enough is enough. And I'm sorry, we're in London and we are standing up for your rights. And it's time for you guys to stand up.
As you can see, women rights are human rights. Now let's go to Breton Horne, and I'm going to ask Breton a few questions. Breton, say morning to the Vincentians in the diaspora.
Yes,
good.
Yes, and thank you, Charles. I say good morning. Well, it's afternoon. Oh no, it's still morning in London. It's 10 to 12. Good morning to all of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and good morning to all across the pond in New York, in Toronto, in wherever you are, in the rest of the Caribbean. All of the Vincentian diaspora, we say good morning to you.
And now, Breton, what are some of the issues that brought you out here? Because we know we could have had be doing better things on this cold Saturday morning, but we decide to be out here really to represent women in St. Vincent. So what's your personal take on what's going on in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Well, you said better things. I mean, I don't think there's anything better than doing this right now. But I know what you mean, different things, other personal stuff. But yeah, once I realized, and it's been happening for a while now, but once it sunk home, what has been happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I think for me, the tip of the iceberg, or the one that tipped the scale, so to speak, was the Yogi Farrell issue. Now, that issue is very close to me in the sense that I am a practicing barrister, and to tell me that here's a young woman, whatever the charges were against her, I'm not debating those, although there were very minor charges called summary charges only, meaning they're really minor charges to be done by the magistrates. She went to court, and after having entered a plea of not guilty, the prosecution made an application, and as I understand it, with no basis at all, to have her sent to the mental institution for evaluation. And the magistrate agreed to that decision. And we think, I think that for me was really showing that the machinery, the undermining of the rule of law, the machinery is being used against the Vincentian people. And that sends a message to women and girls in St. Vincent and to everyone. If you mess with us, we're going to send you to the mental institution. For me, that really did it. And I decided, I mean, I've been speaking out for years now, but I decided, you know what, let's mobilize people together. Let's get people together and let the world know that we in London are not happy.
So what's your take on the response of the institution like the clergy and the Human Rights Association and other institutions that responded to the Yogi Farrell issue?
Well, the Human Rights Association, they put out an initial statement, which to many was an unsatisfactory one. I'm not knocking the Human Rights Association, but many people thought it was an unsatisfactory statement. I mean, they have put out a second statement, which was in the eyes of many a much better statement, for want of a better word. But you mentioned another organization. Which one was it?
The clergy.
The clergy.
The religious.
I think for a lot of Vincentians, not just in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but the world over, are disappointed in the church, or the clergy as you put it, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Morality is at an all-time low in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and many people think that the church is sitting back and in the eyes of some, participating in what is happening. And many people think, for what? Maybe for duty-free concessions or for some other gift from the government. That's not the purpose of the church. The church is there for the oppressed. That's why Jesus Christ, I'm not preaching here, but that's why Jesus Christ came. For the oppressed, for the downtrodden. And the church needs to understand its role in society and get back to that. I'm not dictating to the church either, but
they need to find their voice.
Absolutely, they need to find their voice.
They need not be selective as to which issues they need to speak to, because Christ in his ministry on earth was not selective.
Yes, that's right.
He was always there for the oppressed and the downtrodden.
Absolutely, Charles. And you know what, Charles? I'm so impressed with the number of people who have come out here, because it's a cold morning in London. 3 degrees Celsius, cold morning, but people have come out in the cold. And we want to say to St. Vincent, especially, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, especially, that we are in the cold. We have decided to come out for you. We are standing up for you, and we want you to stand up for yourselves. And we send the message. Right now we are creating the energy, we are creating a wave which we're sending across the ocean. Yes, we're setting the pace, and we hope that New York, Toronto, and all the other islands come in and do their part. So yes, Charles, it's good to have you here, though. Okay. Let me just read what you have on your shirt for people, then. You have women's rights are human rights. Women's rights are human rights.
And to the back, we can see here where
it says, you may jail a revolutionary, but you can never jail a revolution. People power is greater than people in power. Yes, well done.
So that's our slogan here. We'll go across and listen to some of the other protesters.
I went into Bananas. I went to town.
My brother, you want to say a few words?
No,
or you're taking pictures?
My
okay, he's taking pictures there. We have some posters talking about farming.
But they're going to turn around and say to us, that banana dead. How the hell banana could be dead? Banana is probably the most widely recognizable fruit within the world. There is always a market for bananas. And this is the guy who's supposed to be the brightest guy in the Caribbean, I didn't say that, I didn't say that. Listen, if you are saying that the banana industry is dead, then do something and help us diversify. But the fact of the matter is, he does not want to see the banana farmers then going to graves and spending their $500. He doesn't want that.
But he wants
and the entire anybody who's part of the government and supporting his behavior, they should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed of themselves. Absolutely ashamed. And now you have the Minister of Finance talking about he's going to aggressively pursue non-tax business taxpayers this year. That is ridiculous. How could you pursue them? You tell me, how could you pursue them when they are not making any money? Say, when people tell the St. Vincent slow, it ain't no joke slow.
So my people, today we're having a worldwide protest, and protest is starting here in London, and from London we'll be moving on to New York and Canada, in Montreal and Toronto, and also in the Caribbean we'll have protests in Trinidad, Barbados. And for those who can't make it to the protest, take your pictures, make your placard, post them on Facebook, show your support. And let me just remind you, we're here, and we're here protesting against oppression against women. Okay, I'm gonna bring somebody on the live here and have a live chat with them as well.
St. Vincent is in a mess. It's a mess.
Feel free to join the live at any time, and we have an open discussion as to why we're here on the front line, what we'd like to see happening in St. Vincent. So feel free at any time to join the live, share your views.
We're going to interview this lady here, Charles.
Yeah.
She has some stories to tell.
Okay, in the meanwhile, while we wait for somebody to join the live, we're gonna go right here and have a chat with this. So good morning, and could you tell us why you are here today? Let's have a look at our placard.
The poor healthcare system in our country. 2 weeks ago, my granddaughter was ill, had pneumonia, and one of the medication cost only $4. I had to send the money for her prescription. One cost only $4. $4, and they can't even buy it in the hospital. Right? This is ridiculous.
So this lady is here today because she's protesting against the inadequacy of the healthcare system in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And we know by past experience, when our ministers take ill, they have the facilities to fly them out and get healthcare, but the ordinary Vincentians don't have that. And that is something that we should fight for, because healthcare, again, is another one of our human rights that we so need in St. Vincent. We out here take these things for granted, but in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, healthcare is in a dire situation. So joining us from New York as well, we have Charmin. We also have more people turning up here.
Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, good morning. So we're setting the pace here in London.
Absolutely.
We have, hello. We have quite a few people asking here. So the crowd is growing.
I'm hearing that it is -4 and that it is very cold.
Yes, it is freezing out here.
However,
we've got to stand up for women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And St. Vincent, but women throughout the diaspora.
Yes, our turn is coming up.
So is there any encouragement or anything you want to say to the people on the front line here today?
I want to say to them, thank you very much for coming out. You didn't have to this morning. You could have been in your bed, nice warm bed, covered up and snug. But St. Vincent is too important to let it slip away from us. The rights of our women and children are too important for us. So thank you guys for coming out and doing this. And
there's no better way to thank us but to turn out in New York, because following our protest will be the protest in New York and in Toronto and all throughout the Caribbean, and let your voices be heard.
Yes, and we are going to have better weather.
Has had 17 years to prove to us that they're capable, and they have not. Our healthcare is failing, our education system, the so-called education revolution has failed, and they've failed on so many levels.
Yes.
Nepotism would not be tolerated. our judiciary is broken.
Victimization would not be tolerated.
Of our judicial system to prosecute and intimidate Vincentians. The police force, the way it's been used, and we must stand up and say enough is enough. Because one of the things we are saying today is that the people's power is more powerful than the people in power.
Exactly. Oh, say that again.
Say that again. Women's rights are human rights.
Say that again. People's power is more powerful than those who are in power.
And remember, you may jail a revolutionary, but you cannot jail a revolution. And that's what we're having here today. We are having a revolution against oppression, against nepotism, against all sorts of ill that have been perpetrated in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we see a lot of people out here. They're braving the cold. Everybody's doing their bit. And very soon we'll see an end to all the injustice taking place in St. Vincent.
Yes, Charles, I wish I could be in more than one place. I wish I could be in London and then be in Toronto and then come back to New York. But I am there in spirit, and I want to say thank you very much, guys, for doing this. And let us free St. Vincent. Let us make sure that our voices are heard and that our women are free of all the abuse and nepotism and victimization and all of the above. Thank you. I'm watching. Somebody else might want to come in, and I'm going to save my voice for later. Have a good one, Charles.
Well, as we can see here, we have old people. We have people who are not as able-bodied as some of the young people in St. Vincent, and they're out here in the cold doing their bit. So I'm calling on Vincentians. Come on, if the older amongst us could come out in 3 degrees and lower, minus 3 degrees plus. Why can't we in St. Vincent? Why should we postpone our rally because of a little bit of rain? No, that is unacceptable. We need to know what we are fighting for. And if you're a soldier and if you're fighting, you can't choose when you're going to be fighting. You've got to fight through it all.
We are waiting till you want to warm up. We're not waiting. We're soldiers.
Exactly.
Thank
Weather
you.
is not going to stop us. Cold is not going to stop us.
Nothing is going to stop our protest. If you're in New York,
the only thing that will stop us is the
get
coming
ready.
of
We're
the
going
Son
to
of
be
Man.
there
And
from
when
12 to
I say
6.
Son of Man, I don't. Recently, we had the Prime Minister comparing his son to Jesus. So when I say the coming of the Son of Man, I don't mean the coming of Camelo. I mean the coming of Jesus Christ, because it seems to be a norm now that Ralph Gonsalves seems to think that he's God and Camelo is Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Disrespectful.
Very disrespectful.
People, come out today. New York is not the weather today in New York. It is absolutely fabulous.
We are
in Vincent and Grenadines who are afraid. My child, you know that women's back, we are the backbone of any and all society. I am proud of my ladies. I'm proud of every single individual who's standing up in minus 3 degree weather today. Thank you.
It is absolutely freezing out here. I am wearing quite a bit of layers, and I can feel the cold.
You can feel the cold.
Yes, it is absolutely cold.
Oh my God. Guys, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. It is very important. I see a number of faces that I know there. I truly am proud of this. And Charles, I'm going to save my voice. I really am going to save my voice. I need it for later. Because you know me, I'm going to be out front leading the charge. So let me let somebody else come in and have a chat with you. Thank you very much for doing this, Charles.
So at least I'll get this in there as well, Right.
From here on out, whether it is a 6-year-old child, whether it is a 45-year-old woman, you are.
Okay, let's chant some of the slogans. Women rights, human.
No means no, and you must respect women's rights.
Come on, then it starts.
Women's rights.
Human rights.
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 Women's rights.
Human rights. Give me the kiss everything you get in today. We're not messing about.
Enough is enough.
Time's up.
Accountability is a must.
Yes, people.
Honorable Brent Horne.
And I want the world to know that this is just the first of many protests that we'll be organizing, and we will not rest until justice is being served in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
We're not having it anymore.
Absolutely.
And we're in solidarity with our sisters and brothers all over the world today as they go out to protest, which they are about to do in other countries. So anything?
Yes, we are doing this for St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
That's right.
You know, we out here, we are not blind to what's happening.
That's Breton Horne.
Anyone dictate
Weekly
to
on
us.
Nice Radio, he does the program A View from the Outside, and we had A View from the Outside being aired earlier today, right here from the front line. And he's doing a live stream as well with Carla Duggan.
Exactly.
Also here on the front line with us is Lee Cock.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No,
and so we say
they are employed by us.
Thank you. And so we say enough is enough.
Enough is
Enough.
enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Time is up. It's enough. It's been passed up.
Yes.
And it's time.
Yes,
to
and
stand up.
to people across the pond in the States. And
No, we see so. We have a lady here. She doesn't look like she's from St. Vincent, but she's here to lend her support. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Okay, so as you can see, we have worldwide support. There's another sister from St. Vincent. You're in the Navy, right? Ex-military though. Ex-military. Yeah, and where are you coming from?
London.
Okay, she's traveling from London. We have some people from Oxford.
I'm from
Central London. Yes, and I've journeyed all the way from Kent.
Oxford in your house.
And we have here Dennis from Oxford. And people from quite, we had some members that are supposed to be traveling down from north who's having a bit of problem with their transportation. But we expect them to be here a bit later. But until then, we're going to stay here and we're going to be protesting against the injustices that is taking place in St. Vincent.
They are here because they want to go and sit up there in that. Every single
And
person that is here.
we are right outside the St. Vincent High Commission at number 10 Kensington, right here in London.
I take your point.
So when he started his nonsense.
Pastor Leroy couldn't make it with us here today, but he was supposed to have been here. Moulton.
You know what? It's good to see you. Yeah, that's your yogi. I got my yogi thing too. You gotta show me my yogi thing here.
Yes.
So we are all doing it.
Yes, as you can see, we have
yogi and for all women.
Yeah,
all
we have,
women.
badges made
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Women's rights are human rights.
Absolutely. Yogi
This
2018.
is Samson, and you know he's very vocal on
Thank
Facebook.
you.
Thank you,
I'll-
Barrington. Wonderful job. Samson, very vocal and very, very eloquent. So it's really great to meet him in the flesh.
Hello,
Say
hello,
Samson.
hello,
So
St. Vincent and the
what would
wider
you like to
diaspora.
say? He's doing his live as well.
Yeah, well,
Anything to say to
I'm
the
doing a
people?
live here, and
Take the hood down.
yes, I want to say to we've had enough. We had an administration that had 17 years to really prove to us that they are fit for the job.
Absolutely.
And all we've seen nepotism, we've seen corruption, no transparency,
Victimization
no
as well.
accountability,
Yeah, no accountability.
victimization. We've seen a failed education revolution.
Yes.
We've also seen our healthcare system
Oh, don't
more or less
stop.
non-existent.
Market that employs nobody.
Oh,
Exactly.
my
So
goodness.
$35 million.
we see our funds being
He's not very clever.
exactly. So they have
Economy
failed.
is not for you, Ralph.
They have failed on so many levels. They have been failing us on so many levels, and enough is enough. We've now seen where we have our young women being exploited, our judiciary system being used to intimidate Vincentians, and yet
This is a problem.
we have had no response from the minister.
This is
Apparently,
the
he's keeping a
problem.
dignified silence.
Undignified silence. He's keeping
Well, we cannot have a dumb leading us.
justice. We have a thank you.
And I would be back a bit later.
Yes, and he's also catch him on his live as well. That's
exactly.
Samson, always doing his best to, be both on his Facebook page.
So here we are outside the embassy. Freezing Sabbath morning here in London, Saturday morning. And quite a number of people have braved the cold to be out here to really stay there a bit. We have Nicole from Jamaica, and her shirts read "Women's rights are human rights." And to the back, you can see you may jail a revolutionary, but you cannot jail a revolution. People in power is greater than power is greater than the people in power. That's some of the slogans we're seeing here. I'll show you the placards, and we're protesting against sexual abuse of our women, abuse of our judiciary, lack of accountability, nepotism, ailing healthcare system, and so many other issues that are affecting Vincentians today. And yet, we see our ministers enjoying the best of life while the people suffer. We have a rise in unemployment. We have so many people not being able to even send their kids to school. An education revolution that has totally failed Vincentians. Healthcare that is non-existent. We have rape. We're topping the chart for all of the things that we shouldn't be known for. For rape, violence against women, you name it. We elected a government that said when they took powers back in 2001 that they'd be tough on crime and the causes of crime. And so far, we've seen crime rising every single year since this administration has taken power.
Equal rights for women. Yes, thank you very much for solidarity.
We have situations where women have been set on fire in St. Vincent, and yet the church has not responded. And the only thing that the church could respond to is the issue of medicinal marijuana. The church need not be selective in the issues that they address. If they're going to address issues, they need to address every issue that is affecting Vincentians in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and not be selective. So because of that, we are saying that the church does not have the moral or legal authority to speak on our behalf as Vincentians. If they cannot speak to rape, if they cannot speak to violence against women, if they cannot speak to injustice, if they cannot speak to nepotism, how then could they speak to us about medicinal marijuana? That would not be accepted. And we must call the church out on this. Justice for Yogi! Yeah! Shout, my people, shout out loud!
Justice. Okay, we got the music too. Jeffrey,
yeah!
Your life. Jeffrey, shout out to
a whole heap of them.
Just
break the dark.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need to hear right now. Justice
for Yogi, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, in front of a judge.
In place.
The judge allow us to plead. And then soon afterwards, police come and say she crazy. They take out to mental, and everybody start to grow. Nobody don't like that at all. So that is why I'm giving this call to you.
What about lands that have been sold out to foreigners and Vincentians are not allowed to invest in their country?
It's almost every place in this country.
Rise up now. Raise up,
anyhow the economy starts slowing up, banks are going to start charging. That has come to pass.
Telling she go marry she. Mother say when baby comes. They want this man and the run, yeah.
Okay, so let's hear what Dennis has to say. So Dennis, one of the things that the Prime Minister said in his last thing was that Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said what was that the opposition doesn't have plans. Have you seen any plans really being implemented by this government? Does the government give you any confidence that they actually have any plan about it?
Only plans what the ULP government have is to run St. Vincent to the ground. That is the only plan that they have. I am yet to see anything that they have implemented that has been meaningful and successful within St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is wrong for people to be employed on the basis of your political persuasion. It must not and should not happen. And if you do not want to give somebody from the opposition or somebody who doesn't support your job, create mechanisms whereby they can employ themselves. You understand? There are so many people who were self-employed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who are now unemployed.
Yes, people
who are now unemployed.
Continue to share the live. Continue to share the live so as much people as possible would be able to view.
It is absolutely ridiculous. The guy has done nothing in 16 years to improve the quality of life for Vincentians.
Yes.
Absolutely nothing.
And they're sharing it, so it's going on.
Yes, very good, very good.
Yes, people, so we're right here outside the St. Vincent Embassy and we are protesting against injustice.
We're in London, Kensington Court Place.
10 Kensington Court. We are setting the pace here in London and then on to New York and Canada and today we're having a worldwide protest.
All this man does is go to like funerals and things.
We are having a worldwide protest against oppression of our women, poorest amongst us in St. Vincent and the Grenadines by the Ralph Gonsalves administration.
What is going on and why we are here? We're not just choosing to come out of our house.
This is not a political issue. This is an issue of human rights. Right to education, right to proper health care, right to justice. Justice in St. Vincent is not blind. Justice in St. Vincent has more than 20/20 vision because it sees the rich very easily and is blind to the poor amongst us. And for that, we must come out and speak because justice is very important to have a functioning democracy. And right now in St. Vincent, we have anything but a functioning democracy. So today, we brave the call to come out in solidarity with our fellow Vincentians and with women around the world in saying enough is enough.
Time's up.
Time's up.
Time's up. They must go. They had 17 years and 17 years to show us that they are fit for purpose and they have not in any way shown us how they are fit for purpose. Education is well, have you seen the conditions of some of the schools in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Have you seen the conditions?
Yes.
The conditions of the roads, hospitals.
We cannot call them roads. We have to call them roads.
Even the police that is popping up this dictatorship. Have you seen the conditions on which these police have got to serve?
Shocking, shocking. Absolutely ridiculous.
So yes, we are out here. It's freezing.
Freezing cold.
Doesn't seem to be getting any warmer.
Yeah, we have
but we've braved the call to stand up and fight for our little country. Yes, people. Yes, people. We are setting the pace here in London. We're setting the pace here in London, and from London we're going to move on to New York and Canada. Today is a global day of protest against the Ralph Gonsalves administration, against nepotism, oppression, victimization, corruption, lack of accountability,
lack of ideas,
lack of vision,
lack of ideas. Lack of ideas. Can you imagine that the leading...
They're lacking everything except sex drive.
And Ralph's idea of selling St. Vincent was telling them, bring the tourists up to Government House to take out a picture with me, the Prime Minister. Huh? You have not developed any tourism sites within St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Not one has been developed.
We have an administration that has locked everything except Sex Drive.
You think about it. You look at a place like Greg's. A place like Greg's within the mountains where we could run zip wires and stuff like that. Make massive tourist attractions. Massive tourist attractions. And not only that, it's the knock-on effect what is going to happen. Because if the tourists come, they're not just going to ride the zip wire. They're going to want something to eat, something to drink, somewhere to have a shower, whatever. They're going to want to mix with the locals because people seem to think that tourists are not humans. Tourists are humans. There are people like you and me. Huh? And you've taken away everything else and you've not created anything because what? People in South Central we haven't voted for you.
And our prime real estates are being sold off at knockdown prices
to your friends.
To foreigners.
To your friends.
And his children as well.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Everything just for you and your friends and your family alone. Joke. You have a failed banker. You have a failed banker who now holds probably the second biggest portfolio in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is the Ministry of Communication and Works. If he can't count money in a bank, he can't count money in the Ministry of Communication.
Yes, people. Yes, people. We are out here at number 10 Kensington, outside the St. Vincent High Commission, and we're protesting. We're protesting what's been happening in St. Vincent, and all this triggered with the blatant victimization of Yogi Farrell, and women throughout St. Vincent and the diaspora saying enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Tell us why you haven't provided the Accountant General with the necessary staff that she needs to do her job. Tell us why. Tell us why there have been no audited accounts laid before the House of Parliament. Tell us why.
No
what have you got to hide?
Accountability.
Tell us what you have to hide. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Accountability.
You are flouting the law. You are breaking the law. It is the law.
Young man, you'll be a good fellow for me when I'm ready.
Anytime you're ready. Anytime you're ready. I'll be a campaign manager, any kind of manager. And I just cook damn good too. I do get host, but it's ridiculous.
Yes, people.
Ridiculous.
Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We have protesters on the other side as well.
Right now the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is running like when you have a car that nearly run out of gas. And it's limping to the
costing, it's costing.
You're praying to reach a hill like you turn off the engine and run it down the hill. That's what St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now. We do not have an economy. And how could the Minister of Finance now magically decide that we have a surplus in our budget after 16 years
of deficit?
When we've had a deficit budget. But he fails to realize that the budget that he's presented is still a deficit budget. It is still a deficit budget. It is still a deficit budget.
We've had so many incidents of rape, assault against women, and we have yet to hear the Prime Minister come forward and openly condemn rape and say that he will not tolerate that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we must ask the question, why? Why is it that our Prime Minister cannot come out and openly condemn rape? We have a 6-year-old was taken from a parent's home. We have a 12-year-old being raped in school. We had a lady being set on fire and burned to death because she refused to have sex with her partner. And all these atrocities are happening against women in St. Vincent, and the Prime Minister is not speaking out against violence against women and rape. He's silent.
He maintains an undignified silence.
The same Prime Minister that has said to us that he'll be tough on crime and the causes of crime. We must say, how is it that our Prime Minister can speak on so many different issues, but issues abuse and human trafficking, he cannot address these issues? Why is it that our Prime Minister has failed to visit the Vincentian community in Canada?
Yes.
Why?
You have your direct flights now.
We have an international airport where you can fly directly to Canada. Why is it that our Prime Minister is not visiting the Vincentian diaspora in Canada?
Take a direct flight to Canada.
8 years for the airport we built, and no the formulation of plans for flights direct from London.
Ridiculous.
You understand?
8 years.
We have an airport that we spend so much, and yet we in England cannot have a direct flight to St. Vincent.
Remember, they said it's world's war, build it and they will come. Okay? You have an airport that is how many years? Delayed. So you want to tell me within those 8 years, let's say for example, that the Minister of Tourism, Sesmaki, or the Chief of the Tourism Authority, they could not have been making flights or making the necessary contacts in the UK, in Germany, in France, in Amsterdam, wherever, to ensure that when the airport was opening, because remember, you knew it was going to be delayed. You knew it was going to be delayed. So you're trying to tell me, within all that time, bearing in mind the salary what the minister, the CEO gets, you couldn't take a flight and you couldn't make the necessary marketing arrangements to ensure that there will be sufficient flights when the airports open. And now we reach to the point that we are what?
Yes, people, that's Dennis Daniel, Vincentian, born in the UK.
Chartering a flight, and even a charter flight.
But that's a Greg's man there for you.
Putting more pressure on the poor people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I look at the small things when I go to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The very, very small things. And this is one thing that I saw for a prime example.
What about healthcare?
The healthcare is non-existent.
What about the healthcare in St. Vincent?
Non-existent. Healthcare is non-existent in St. Vincent. I firmly believe that people should do X amount to take care of their own health. But primary, basic healthcare is a responsibility.
It's a human right.
Any government, and by extent, it is, as you said, it is a human right. It is a human right. So they cannot provide basic healthcare to its citizens. If you cannot do that, you have failed.
No.
You have failed.
One of the things I see is that you judge a country's healthcare when the leaders of those countries use their own healthcare system. And we've seen too often that when anything happens to any minister of government in St. Vincent, the first thing they'll do is fly to Barbados, fly to America, fly to Cuba, fly all over the world,
Trinidad, exactly.
To get treatment.
Yes.
But
no, we have the best healthcare in the Eastern Caribbean.
Exactly.
I never see more mess.
And when our people, our poor people, gets themselves in a position where they need medical attention, they have got to suffer and die. Hence Camilo Gonzalez said, Vincentians must suffer and Vincentians must die. Don't ask him why.
You should look at that one. She needs to go for a yogi.
And enough is enough.
Enough, no more.
Enough is enough.
You remember Nicholas? My cousin Nicholas. So, anytime I make it.
Come on, people, get together.
They're taking my son. My son now taking.
Yes, people, we are setting the pace here. We are setting the pace here in London. Number 10 Kensington, and from here it's on to New York and Canada and throughout the world, because today is the National Day, worldwide day of protest against corruption, nepotism, victimization, oppression, and all the ills that is taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Serious theft taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
We have joining us Kenton Chance of Eyewitness News, and we're right outside the St. Vincent High Commission in Kensington. London. We have Vincentians from all over. We have people as far as from the Netherlands that are here on the front line with us. And we're speaking out against injustice and all the other ills taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Finally, we are here. It has taken us a while in London to mobilize, but we have mobilized because we have, and we are here to stay.
And we're here with force.
And with force, because there are a number of very strong characters here, and each one an individual, but they have their strengths. And we are saying that we are fed up of the abuse of women in St. Vincent. The authorities don't seem to take it seriously. In fact, we cannot take them seriously because, in fact, Ralph himself has been accused of sexual crimes against women. And we are saying St. Vincent, they need to stand up. We are here in London in the freezing cold. It is very, very cold. But we have come together and we are saying with a very unified and strong voice that we have had enough.
Carla, what's your take on this so-called education revolution that took place in St. Vincent?
Well,
and how has it benefited Vincentians? Because to be quite honest, I haven't seen much change in the way that Vincentians think, in the way that they hold their leaders accountable.
Well, that is the key issue.
So what do you think of the education revolution?
If I take it from this land, did you see the video of the Bajan professor who protested against Ralph Gonsalves? I think it was last night. Did you see that? A lot of people would say, but this is a very educated woman. Apparently she has a doctorate and whatnot, and they would say, why is she doing things like that? That to me is evidence of an education revolution. You have to emancipate your mind to the point where you know that you can speak out for your rights, you can pursue your career and follow whatever it is that you wish to accomplish in life without...
Be an independent thinker.
Right, without having... Sorry, I'm spilling everything. I am so passionate now because I'm upset about what's going on. You can do all those things without worshipping or going up into a financial complex to speak to one individual. That is not education revolution. Education revolution is not saying they better don't talk. Now, my Prime Minister, you know, as you would have heard someone in the audience
I heard that in the back. They better not disrespect my Prime Minister.
Thank you. Yes. That was what was said. To me, that is not proof of independent minds thinking. Even myself, where I work in my employment, I can speak up for myself. I can do, once I'm acting in accordance with the company's policies, but I can still defend my rights. I can speak up with a strong voice.
And freedom of speech should be a democratic right.
No, it's a constitutional right.
As what took place back in 2000.
It's enshrined in the Constitution. It's not just, okay, we talk about human rights, United Nations conventions. In England, we subscribe to the European Convention on Human Rights. But it's in the St. Vincent Constitution. People just need... Sorry, people with mental illness, like Yogi, they allege that Yogi had an issue. Even persons, vulnerable persons in society.
Which brings me to my next question. What's your views on health care, mental health in particular, in St. Vincent?
Come on, you should not ask me this. Yeah, if you know and you follow me on Facebook, Charles, you would know my views on healthcare in St. Vincent. The authorities have completely failed us when it comes to healthcare. Now, I have lost my mother. My mother has died at the Milton Caton Memorial Hospital. I'm going to take my shades off in a minute. I lost my brother at the Milton Caton Memorial Hospital. I know quite a number of people who have either lost family, friends, or they've been there and there's not enough medication. We know 5 babies died in 1 week, or was it 5 days? I think it was a week. And Luke Brown came, and that's my cousin, by the way, and he told us that everything is okay.
5 babies died that's unacceptable.
Died in space of a week.
If that happened at any hospital in the UK, there would be an investigation.
Heads would roll, there'd be an investigation. First and foremost, heads would roll. There aren't enough checks and balances. You have people with political affiliations holding positions that they probably are not equipped to hold. And because there are no checks and balances, people carry on, possible negligence is occurring, and nothing gets done, and so they carry on. And because whoever is the administrator, in my opinion, they are incompetent, because you cannot be a proper administrator and you don't have nebulizer medication, you don't have, we heard Sister Deborah talking about a $4 medication for something, you don't have plaster Paris, you don't have, what sort of system? You had over nearly $1 billion to do an airport, but our healthcare is failing. The first sign of a failing society is the healthcare.
So is there any aspect of our society that you would say that the administration over the past 17 years have improved in any significant way?
Yes, I will say they've improved improved with corruption. They've improved with corruption. In my opinion, the only positive thing I could say about these people is that it appears that they have all become increasingly well off.
We were told that with the coming on stream of the international airport, that would have an improvement in agriculture. Have you seen any such improvement? Celebrating 1 year anniversary of having the international airport. Have you seen any signs to show that the agriculture situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is improving?
And I want to be very fair. People will say I am aligned. I have not got a party card in St. Vincent. I vote in the UK. But I follow the politics, and of course that's my homeland. I can speak on it, and I follow what goes on. Since the airport has come into play, as far as I know, banana industry is still dead. I did see a report about agriculture, quite a sizable amount of goods there rotting away. I don't know whether
a lot of arrowroots. Yes.
Yes, there was that report on the arrowroot. I don't think that they have followed through on the promises to some of the farmers, subsidizing.
We saw an interview where the Prime Minister tried to blame the Trinidad government and saying that the traffickers can't get their money out of Trinidad. What's your view on that? And he blamed that for one of the falling in
To be honest with you, whenever you listen to Ralph Gonsalves speak, you ought to remember at all times that he's a political scientist. He will tell you the things that he believes that you want to hear in order to pull the wool over your eyes. And what you have to do with that information is do like Kenton and do like the others. Go and do your own research, and you heard the responses from the industry, from those in the industry and the officials in Trinidad, what they have to say about that. They were not very impressed. He is trying to pass the buck, which he does quite a lot. What he needs to do is sit down and examine with his cabinet how incompetent they are. If they cannot do the job to improve the lives of the traffickers and the people in agriculture, the general citizens, they need to be fired, and if they can't be fired, they could remove themselves and resign from their positions.
My last question. Now, considering that we're here for women's rights, I must ask you a question about women. What do you think of the Prime Minister's track record relating to women and the numerous accusations made against him, and the fact that the Prime Minister now cannot go and make a speech without it being interrupted in protest of his track record?
Can you see this flag behind me here? This is a beautiful, beautiful flag of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You see the various colors, they represent various things. When Ralph Gonsalves appears, he's representing each and every one of us. That is effectively him standing there. He's representing Diane over here. He's representing all of these wonderful people that are here. And what that is doing, it's tarnishing our reputation.
We just have a few more people arriving here. Yeah. A few more Vincentians, they've just arrived.
Based on
number is slowly growing.
Based on the accusations that have been made against him, he is not morally equipped to continue representing us as a Prime Minister. He must resign. He must, within himself, he should have enough integrity to say, you know what, this is bringing a stain on the entire country now. Wherever I go, people are accusing me of this because I've not cleared my name effectively. And because he himself has been accused, in fact, Diane standing here has said, and it is her allegation, that he assaulted her sexually in his office.
Do you think it's proper for him to keep a dignified silence?
They cannot. How can you keep it? Let me come over here to these.
No. This is the lady who alleged to be assaulted by Ralph Gonsalves.
He assaulted me in his office.
And you can say
this
that
is no alleged. I am here. He assaulted me in his office.
How can you keep silence about that?
And it's an insult to our intelligence that such a man can continue to lead our women and our country. He must step down. He must resign.
No, people. We have seen in a town hall meeting in New York where Miranda Woods came out and accused Ralph Gonsalves to his face. We have seen the lawyer Margaret Parsons from Canada, a very respectable lawyer.
Yes.
Now we have seen another sister,
We have
Michelle Andrews,
who stood up.
Yes.
Michelle Andrews, and so many others. And yet, our Prime Minister has kept a dignified silence. He has not responded.
Dignified.
And mind you, our Prime Minister is very quick to sue and prosecute people for trivial infractions, I should say. So why is he not challenging these ladies in a court of law?
In fact, he settled a matter with Michelle Andrews, the civil matter. He settled.
He settled
Money for that.
So
and he admitted that he kissed her reassuringly, which is in essence a sexual assault. Thank you.
Yes, that's
so
he was on the crime scene.
And here it is, you have a lady right here standing, and I have known her for over, 30 years, because we went to school together, in fact.
Yes.
And we weren't necessarily always on the same political or whatever side, but we have always maintained.
And my people, this is not political, because Margaret Parsons is not from St. Vincent.
No, it's not politics.
So this is not political.
It's people giving real accounts for what they say happened to them, and they deserve at the very least for him to step down and to clear his name. He simply cannot continue representing us, and I don't want him to come to London and say he's representing me or anybody else, because it's an embarrassment. So when people stand up and say women's rights, human rights, like the Bajan lady did, what they are doing there is exposing this issue, and he's standing there. For me, it's a complete embarrassment. I don't know about you, but I feel really shamed. And Camilo, no better, in my opinion, because with this Yogi matter, it is so very serious, and that is what has propelled me to come out of my silence, really, is to see that young girl.
And people, this is Carla Duggan, Carla Duggan, for those who don't know.
Well, most people might know me, right? Yes, Duggan Backers.
Former senator.
That's correct. But, you know, it's a human rights issue. That's true. I left that life a long time ago. It's a human rights issue. It's a woman.
And you're also a lawyer.
I am. I work, at the moment, I write the law reports. But what I'm saying is, as human beings, we can all be disgusted at what happened to Yogi Farrell.
And people, you must realize we have a lot of educated women here who've braved the cold to be out here fighting for women's rights, fighting for equality, fighting for justice, for not only Yogi but for all women who've been abused and oppressed.
Yeah.
And not only women in St. Vincent but women throughout the world.
Sexually assaulted.
Raped. Just being here.
Molested.
Just being here could effectively kill me. I have sickle cell, and you know what the cold does when you have sickle cell. And I've been out here for an hour risking my life to stand here to raise the voice, because I think we have.
Well, Carla, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the people of St. Vincent. The people of St. Vincent appreciate you being here. And thanks for sharing your views with us here, streaming live from outside the St. Vincent High Commission, number 10 Kensington, London.
All right. Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we have another sister who's out here. She's all the way from Georgetown originally, but she's traveled from Oxford, from the Prime Minister's constituency.
Not our Prime Minister until the elections have been rectified.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the people of St. Vincent?
All I want to say is, Ralph, you've done a really bad job as Prime Minister. You need to go. You need to go. We don't want you anymore. You've messed up the whole country. You've raped the country of all its resources. And I mean, even its young people. The resources, all of it. You need to go. Your time is up.
Well, I guess that's why he wants to hand over to his son, who is younger. So we also have another prominent lawyer here, Breton Horne. He's also the host of the weekly Saturday morning program, A View from the Outside. We have that program all year being aired here live from outside the St. Vincent High Commission in Kensington. I'm sure there's a few things he'd also like to tell our fellow Vincentians and people who are watching. As I said earlier, we're setting the pace here in London. We've had quite a sizable turnout considering the cold weather. People traveling from all parts of
I just throw a glass of water
the UK to be here.
Real cold boy.
We'll ask Breton, what's your view on the 17 years track record of the ULP, Dr. Gonzalez's administration in terms of healthcare, the way it's represented our people, education. We know one of the things that he brag about is the education revolution. What's your take on it? Was it really a revolution or was it a hoax?
Well, well, I would like to say, I would like to talk about the healthcare first, because I think the healthcare speaks for itself, where we have people in the hospital who can't get medication. I just saw something in social media quite recently, and it was nauseating. It was disgusting, where someone from one of the clinics for latex gloves to be sent to them from people in the Vincentian diaspora. Can you believe that? Latex gloves cannot be supplied by the government in the clinics in St. Vincent. We have people who are not getting medication. People.
These allegations are false and they're instigated by the opposition.
Well, the person who made the plea for the gloves, I don't think it belongs to the opposition. And what is true is in the evidence that is existing in the country. The people are living it. That's the thing. The people are experiencing it. So whilst Dr. Gonzalez might say that healthcare is not top on the agenda, the people know what healthcare means to them, or what it is supposed to mean to them. So it's absolutely true. Now, we say we have education revolution. I'll come back to education revolution now. We have that. But we have a situation where people in the country cannot speak up. People who have been to university cannot speak up when they feel that their rights have been curtailed, or when they feel that their rights have been breached. They can't speak up. So how is that an education revolution where you have people are cowering in fear of the government? It can't be. So much ignorance in the country, so to speak. And if there is a genuine revolution, that would not be the case.
One of the other big hallmarks of the government is the airport. And we were told, bill it and they will come. And we were also told that it would bring a fortune, it would bring a revival to our agricultural sector. You've been from one of the agricultural belts of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What's your take on the improvement in agriculture 1 year on celebrating the opening of our new international airport?
Well, Charles, I would like to go back even beyond that. I remember in the 1980s when the Mitchell government bought the Lourdes estate. And you're from Lourdes, so you know.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
After that, what we had was a boom in agriculture in that particular area. We had people from Lourdes, Greggs, Lomans, Windward, and the surrounding areas who simply became independent. And now that whole class, if you like, has been curtailed because agriculture, they have destroyed it. And some people believe they deliberately destroyed agriculture so that they could cut the independence of the farmers. Because if the farmers become more dependent on them, what would happen is that they would control, as in the government, will control the farmers. And that is what's happening now. So there's no improvement. But my short answer.
But you say that. But the government, because of that, has a Life to Live program. What do you have to say about the Life to Live program? That 2 years ago we saw was in full swing. Yeah. What do you have? What's your view on the Life to Live program?
Life to Live program. The concept is a good one. 2 years ago it was in full swing. Do you know why it was in full swing? It was in full swing because it was election. And what happened is that we had millions of dollars of materials being ordered from overseas and distributed mainly to ULP supporters, primarily to garner votes. And that is what we had. So Life to Live program, the concept is good, but the handling of it is totally unsatisfactory. And it ought not to happen. That is not how a government is supposed to operate.
We were also told that we're protesting and we have no vision. Could you tell us just a few things that you really think that could be improved in St. Vincent, and just how simple these things could be improved?
Well, simple things. I mean, you talked about agriculture earlier. We need to make sure that the farmers become independent again. And how do we do that? We need a government and we need representatives who will ensure that they implement programs. I'll just give you an example. Last elections, the New Democratic Party, in their manifesto, were going to rehabilitate or reintroduce bananas in several acreage. The government fooled people and said, okay, we'll double that. Up to now, nothing has been done in relation to that, in relation to bananas. But yet, we have St. Lucia. We have St. Lucia blooming and blossoming and moving ahead, advancing as far as banana is concerned. So simple things. Get the farmers back to the land and get markets to produce across the world so that our farmers become independent again. Because once our farmers are independent, there will be growth. You would see that the negative growth that we've had for 4 years or how many years, you'll see that the growth would start to go up again.
What's your views on you see the government trying to improve healthcare and building this new state-of-the-art polyclinic or clinic in Georgetown with dialysis machines, etc., etc. Because we know one of the things that's been affecting Vincentians is kidney problems. Yes. And we have what's your view on, what's your take on that?
Right. I welcome the opening of the health center, and I genuinely hope that it serves the Vincentian people, not just a particular section of Vincentians. I hope it serves the Vincentian people. But having said that, this is an institution which took, what, 10 years to complete? And I'm not sure it's completed yet. But be that as it may, I welcome the institution. But I hope that the institution is not run like the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where there are no or very little basic supplies, where every so often people have all sorts of mishaps, to use for want of a better term, in the hospital itself. Let's hope that it is run properly, you know. So I welcome it, because I actually have a brother who had kidney problems, and he had to go to Cuba. We got him to Cuba. We got him a transplant, so he's now functioning like an ordinary normal person. You know, he doesn't require dialysis anymore. But we know how much was spent for him having dialysis in the country. You know, so it's a good one. It's a really good institution. But let's hope that it is run properly.
And finally, we don't want to leave out our people in the Grenadines.
Yes.
And we know the people in Canada has been struggling with, we say we want foreign investors. But what's your take on foreign investors buying the prime lands in St. Vincent, pushing up land price, while Vincentians can't buy land? And then not only that, but restricting us from our beaches. I personally am not against foreign investment, but my take is that I would really like to see Vincentians investing in their country rather than our country being sold out to foreigners.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, ownership of land is paramount for nationals of that country. And ownership of land for Vincentians has always been an aspiration, something that people aspire towards and want to do. So it's a balancing act. What we want a government who will not sacrifice the needs of the local people, the needs of Vincentians, for the benefit of foreign investors, as you put it. So we need foreign investment, but at the same time, we cannot have foreign investment dominating the need of the local people.
Rightfully so.
Yes, and so that's what we.
And it must be to the benefit of the people.
Absolutely, and if that is done, and if it is done properly, you would have foreign investors who are happy because they are investing and making, and you would have locals who are also happy because they're benefiting. You know, but it's not selling out the lands and so on. You can lease lands, because you cannot have a government that destroys the patrimony of the country. Because what's going to happen to the future generations?
Exactly.
You know, and that is where we are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Going back to agriculture, we saw the government and the Minister of Agriculture bringing scientists to test our marijuana because they want to get into medicinal marijuana.
Yes.
What's your view on us moving in that direction to really?
Well, you heard Dennis about the person who came to test the marijuana being a chef. But let's look at it differently. We cannot in St. Vincent and the Grenadines produce medicinal marijuana unless we have the export market for it, because it's not going to be used in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let's put it that way. So unless there are provisions in place to have the marijuana product, whatever it is that is produced in St. Vincent, exported. And I mean, the laws are intricate and complicated in order to get that machinery moving. So what we have now, Charles, is a government who are trying to hoodwink and bamboozle the Rastamen, the farmers, those who grow marijuana, to make them believe that they are going to be benefiting. They're not necessarily going to be benefiting, because medicinal marijuana has to be produced in a controlled setting. And the controlled setting is not a setting which is run and operated by local farmers, the Rastamen who up in the hills. They won't be selling the marijuana to have it medicinally produced. No. So therefore, the government is fooling the local people to make them believe that they will benefit from marijuana when they will not. I am not encouraging any underground economy, but what they benefit now, they're not going to be benefiting when there's medicinal marijuana. If it does happen, I'm in St. Vincent.
Well, brother, thank you for contributing, and we'll get back to you later on in the protest.
Yes. Yeah, before you go, I just want to say, as I look around and see all the people who are here, I am so pleased
Let's
that
have a glance at the crowd.
Yes, that London has turned out for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. London has turned out, and so what we are doing is sending the energy from here to Canada, to New York, to Washington, to Kensington in Barbados, Bridgetown, Barbados, to Port of Spain in Trinidad, and to the Bahamas. We're sending the energy across the world. Let's hear you guys.
Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Justice!
Hooray!
Justice! Justice!
Human rights!
Women's rights are human rights!
Women's rights!
Yeah. Thank you.
Human rights! Women's rights!
Yeah, we have Brother Leacock, another one of the posts who's been quite instrumental in organizing the protest today. So I'd just like to ask you a few questions. So over the 17 years of the ULP administration, is there any benefit, in any way, could you say that St. Vincent has benefited from such an administration?
Well, there might have been some benefit. The atrocities largely outweigh what goes. I mean, healthcare is a total failure. You know, we have black moss growing at the hospital. There are photographs to prove that sort of thing. No medication, right? Shortage of staff. No anesthesiologists. All those sorts of things.
So healthcare has been a major issue affecting Vincentians. So what about our education? What would you say concerning education?
Well, we claim to have had an education revolution, but the evidence is not there. In the first place, it wasn't planned properly. You have a situation where the education revolution started in the secondary school and we have neglected the primary school system. The government will claim that they have trained several graduate teachers in the primary school. The question is, how many of these graduate teachers are actually appointed and being paid as graduates in our education system? And if that is the case, then why is it that in the secondary system, students who are coming from primary school, we have a situation where dropout rates are still very high, literacy rates are not improving. You know, there are several students in secondary school who still cannot read properly simply because we've neglected to ensure that the primary education system is well catered for. And the evidence of the education revolution, I mean, when you have a situation where persons who are supposedly university educated, for example, are failing to stand up for their own human rights in a country, you know, then you have to wonder, what is the purpose of the education revolution? Is it to enslave minds, to prevent persons from emancipating their own selves? You know, when persons are given scholarships and because of the scholarship they fail to stand up and speak out on the issues that are taking place in the country, is that what we call an education revolution?
No, we've been told that we have a diversification from agriculture to tourism. What's your view on the tourism product and its benefits to Vincentians in a whole?
Well, St. Vincent is a beautiful country, and if indeed we can have a well-developed tourism product, then that would be fantastic. But you have a situation where the government has built an airport. My understanding is it's a fantastic looking project, but that's not good enough. What we have essentially done is to transfer a very small operation from UT Joshua to Argyle. You still have the one airline landing there, and you have a couple charters every few months. We're hearing of regular flights coming from New York and other places soon. But what about hotels? What about the hospital? What about areas in the country?
Exactly. What if you have God forbid you have an accident?
Exactly.
How are we gonna?
Right? And where are the stay-over visitors going to stay when the largest hotel in the country is currently not operational, and we've been given all sorts of what we would say locally Guinea ram goat story as to when this institution, this operation will be reopened, but there's nothing substantial. Our tourism product is not well developed, and I'll tell you this: one of the issues in Civil is that the economy simply has no money. The government is a failure economically and financially. They do not have any money to develop the tourism product effectively in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Now, over the 17 years, the Ralph Gonsalve has been plagued with several allegations of sexual misconduct from various women. That's one of the reasons why we're out here today, because recently we had the Yogi Farrell situation, and we have similar now allegations being made against his son. We've heard of the Parliament girls. We've heard about extramarital affair with Miss Farrell.
Yes.
What's your take on that? Because a lot of people say that
their jobs as ministers of government, but these are public officials. They are not ordinary citizens. They are officials who hold high office in our land. And if serious accusations are made against them in terms of sexual impropriety, they can take a page from the books of leaders around the world who, when accused of such things, either step aside temporarily or completely resign from office. And I think that would have been the best thing for either the Prime Minister or his son to do in those situations. It makes absolutely no sense to hold on to office unless you clear your name. It's either you clear your name or you leave, or both. The point is, a dignified silence in these modern times.
There's nothing dignified about it.
Nothing dignified about that silence, right? There was no dignified silence in 1968 when the Prime Minister was protesting. 2018 with these issues that are taking place in our country, these allegations that are made against the Prime Minister. The best thing for either the Prime Minister or his son to do is simply to come out and speak out against these things, either to clear their names or to vacate office and let the country move forward.
No, we've had a space, quite an extensive record.
And totally unacceptable. Apart from that, on the issue of abuse of women in civilization, patriarchy and misogyny has taken it's too deeply rooted in our country. It's time our men and our boys and others in this society who abuse and disrespect women realize that women ought to be respected, human beings ought to be respected, and women's rights are human rights.
Thank you, Mr. Leacock. Well said. And we'll just move on here. Come on, people, come on, let's hear your voices. Let's hear your voices, hear them now. We're here, Justice for Yogi. We have the police here with us as well. Miss Taylor, is there anything you'd like to say concerning what's been happening with I think you've been following the Yogi Farrell case. Is there anything you'd like to say on the behaviors of ministers, etc.? What's your take on it?
No, actually, I want to speak directly to Vincentians. I want to make a plight. I'm asking Vincentians to realize that you all have a voice that you have to use. That means that you don't need to wait until something like this comes knocking on your door. You need to go out and protest. You need to go out and stand together, united. Don't wait until it comes knocking on your door for you to decide, I want to make a difference. Or don't think that you're going to get the help when you can't stand and unite with everybody else when they need the help. You need to do it from now. Don't wait till it's too late.
Okay. Now that is Miss Taylor. She's out here. She's not Vincentian, but she's braving the cold to come out here and give her voice, let her voice be heard, because she believes that all women should stand united, and that's how women are going to be respected in our society today. Let's see, we have other females there. Good day, miss. Would you like to say to us as to why you're out here protesting today?
I'm protesting.
It's very cold.
Women's rights and stop the rape. You know, it's disgusting. I love St. Vincent, but it's got to stop.
So what event really triggered your interest in wanting to let your voice be heard? Because this violence against women has been going on for a long time in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So what makes you think that enough is enough and you really need to let your voice be heard?
I think this last incident, it's been going on for a long time, but this last incident made me think this is not right. And they haven't made a statement, they haven't come out, and the poor lady, at the end of the day, everyone has a right, and we're women. You can't treat women like that. And I think this last thing made me think, well, this is not right. And seeing it on Facebook, it's made me think, well, as a woman, we've all got daughters. We've got daughters. So you'd be scared to go to St. Vincent then?
Yeah, but before this incident, we had a situation where a police lady made an allegation against the Prime Minister of rape, and we had a rape rally in support of the Prime Minister. What's your view on that?
My view on that is, well, how does he get away with that anyway? I don't know. But it's like, to me, he's like a communist. He runs that island now, and anything he says goes, and people are scared to challenge him. So it's bad. It's bad.
Okay. Well, that's one of the lady here on the front line, and we thank her for thing. Yes, so we have some of the members there, the police that are giving us security. Exactly. So we have the Vincentian High Commission complaining of us hanging the flag on the rail. The St. Vincent flag. Now how petty is that? The flag of SVG, they're complaining that we have hanged the flag on their property. I thought the embassy is property of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
This right here is technically St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right?
Exactly.
And we are Vincentians, right? So we hang it anywhere we want.
We all have Vincentian passports.
Look, I hang it now. I hang the flag.
If they were doing business by